Aloha everyone, McKenna Maduli, your PTC'22 host, here for What's Happening Today with my special guest, editor of Tech Capital, João Lima. Before we get to today, tell me what you saw yesterday that just really was a surprise for you.
Yeah, I mean, there was actually quite a few highlights. I'll just point out 2 or 3. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail.
Okay.
I mean, Mark Kenzie did a decent point.
Yeah.
He was talking about a lot about edge infrastructure and IoT and big data and how the whole industry is run by data. But I think the main key point that he said is that they estimate a $400 billion annual capex into digital infrastructure over the next few years. So we're talking about $4 trillion over the next 10 years.
Wow.
That's probably going to go into this industry, which is a tremendous amount of money. I mean,
Yes.
it's almost the size of the US infrastructure bill that's been discussed here.
That's definitely nice to hear at PTC. All right, what else did you get for yesterday?
Yeah, so we heard from David Furman, who's the interim president and CEO of CyrusOne, which was acquired by KKR and Global Infrastructure Partners last year for $15 billion. We haven't really heard from him for a while since the acquisition, which is normal when you get acquired. But he was talking about expansion, so he's going to go into Asia, and he didn't go into too much detail, but I think we're going to see big headlines from them going to Asia. And he brought up the issues with Singapore, Amsterdam, and Silicon Valley that's becoming quite hard to build data centers in those locations. Singapore and Amsterdam, we know they got moratoriums which kind of ban the construction of data centers. Singapore lifted their ban, but there's still a lot of restrictions. And he kind of alerted to the fact that we might see more of that in other regions of the world. So that's going to be an interesting developing story to watch out for over the next couple of years.
Wow.
See what happens there.
So interesting. You got anything else from yesterday?
I'll just point out, I got a lot of them, but I'll just point out maybe Madonna Parks' take. She was talking about the shifting patterns in private equity investments, debt financing as well. So she's talking about like the emergence of sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, how they came to disrupt the market. She's talking about debt equity, which we've seen Equinix and Digital Realty using so much to fund their multi-billion-dollar expansions. So she said a lot of things, and I'm going to put out a piece later on what she said on the Tech Capital, so people can go there and read what she said.
Good stuff. You had a great day. Now let's talk
There's a
about
lot more. I'll give you more if you want.
Oh, really? Okay. I want to find out what you're looking forward to today.
I think keeping up with the topic of investments, there'll be a very interesting session on private equity. Because while yesterday we heard about the shifting models and what's happening, today we're going to hear from the actual private equity guys. And there's a bunch of them that are quite interesting. We've got IPI Partners, who acquired Digiplex in the Nordics, and they've been investing in other markets. We don't know how much they paid for Digiplex. That's a secret still. One day maybe we'll find out. But that's very interesting. You're going to hear from Digital Bridge again, not Mark Kenzie, but other people in his team. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to hear from Blackstone, which is probably one of the first times they're going to talk after the $10 billion acquisition of KTS. And they've also recently acquired the London data center for nearly $270 million. Whose Equinix is actually the main tenant. So that'll be another interesting one to hear from. And we're going to hear from Global Compute Infrastructure, which was created by Goldman Sachs, and they got about $1.5 billion to invest. So that one, I'm quite curious about that one, because I haven't really heard that much from them on what they're doing. So
PTC'22 is
a lot of money.
It is. It's great. And this is your first time. You want to celebrate. You're having a great time.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I mean, I love it. So I'm looking forward to next year already.
All right. I am too, actually. All right, everyone. That is your What's Happening Today for Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Aloha.